Alrighty, folks. Over the weekend, I read an analyst. His name is Rick Edelman. Say that he thinks it is time for investors like me, and that by happenstance you, that we should increase our exposure to Bitcoin. Rick Edelman was actually somebody I followed at the beginning, who said that you should put 1% of your net worth in Bitcoin, which of course you remember I did in 2018. Bitcoin, Ethereum, and a couple of shit coins that went to zero. But hey, I've got the other two. But at this point, Rick Edelman said it's time to step up and increase that exposure to 10 to 40%. So I don't know who Rick Edelman is. That's why we go to Taylor from Life Goal Investments. We're going to find out who Rick is. Is he a schmuck or the real deal? And then we're going to talk about this increase from 10 to 40, because that seems a little rich to me, but maybe I am wrong. So Taylor, thank you for being here. First off, who is Rick? Because I'm not in Wall Street. I don't know who he is. Just another name on an article.
No, Rick is very, very legit. Rick does exactly what I do. So he runs a registered independent advisory firm, which is what I do, which just means that you don't work for Merrill Lynch, Morgan Stanley, et cetera. You launch your own company and you're a wealth manager, financial advisor. And he runs the biggest one in the country, which is 300 billion.
I guess I should know who he is. I do not.
Yeah. Well, no. And in reality, like, that number sounds absolutely unconscionable. What he does is he buys up practices. So it's not like he launched this firm and brought in $300 billion himself. No, there's a million people under his umbrella at this point.
Got it. Okay. All right. But he's the real deal. He's when you see his name, I should read the article. So, okay. So again, I believe it was Rick who in 2018 was preaching the idea of, okay, if you're rich, wealthy, you're a millionaire, it would probably behoove you to put 1% into the portfolio of crypto. The whole story back then was, you're already rich. You can afford 1%. If it goes to zero, you're good, which is, I believed in. I was like, okay. And then there's this lotto ticket. So 1%, 2% always felt reasonable to me if you are rich. But dude, now he's saying 10 to 40%. I mean, that seems like a lot to me.
Yeah. This feels like a headline grab to me a little bit and a victory lap. And to Rick's credit, I think he's been in Bitcoin since like 2013, 2014, something like that. So he's been a long-term holder of it. And he was right. And I've listened to a little bit of his thesis on Bitcoin. And he said at the beginning, traditional finance folks, and him putting himself directly in that category, they said, this is nonsense. This is this is that. And he said, but then several people that are much smarter than me, these are his words, came and said, this is something you need to understand. You need to look at more closely, et cetera. And he said, I studied it for like 6 months. And he said, all right, I'll chuck a little money into it. And he got more and more confident, as most Bitcoin owners have done over the years, because it hasn't been a one-way street. Don't let me make it sound like it's been a one-way street. There's been trials and tribulations in Bitcoin. It's highly volatile. But all intents and purposes, unless you bought at a prior all-time high when it touched 106 or whatever, you're up. And lots of times you're up a lot.
Yeah. So again, I always felt that the 1 or 2% exposure, again, the whole idea of limited supply, it's going this way. It's really that ultimate lotto ticket that could go to zero or a million or the moon or whatever you want to call it. The other thing I think of, again, as a holder for the last 7 years, I actually, let me say this quote, and you can agree or disagree. I think there's a better chance that Bitcoin hits 1 million than it hits zero. What do you think?
Agreed. I think both of them are, and at some point it could certainly hit 1 million. I don't think it goes to zero because there's just too much buy-in. 1 million
that's the key. Is again, I'm not saying when or if. I'm just saying the chances of it going to zero are less than 1 million, just because of the buy-in, of the momentum, of more of there's mutual funds and ETFs, and there's just a lot of money there now. And when I bought in 2018. I would have told you there's a hell of a lot more chance it goes to zero than 1 million, right? Totally. Right. Again, and that it's just flipped for me. And I was like, well, good thing I put 1%.
I think the risk to Bitcoin is that, and again, I've owned Bitcoin in the past. I don't own it now. So take that for what it's worth. I'm not a hater. I'm not a lover. I'm somewhere in between. I think the risk to Bitcoin is that it winds up dying on the vine. It launched, it created this technology, it created blockchain. But I think that the use case of it is now exclusively a store of value. Whereas I think in the past, at some point, there was the thought of, hey, we'll transact, we'll do this, we'll do that. And I think that there's this realization now that that's just not the case. That's not what Bitcoin is built for.
But, I agree with you. Because, again, when I got in 2018, my research was like, okay, it's going to go here. It's going to help you transact. You use your phone, yada, yada, yada. But at this point, a store of value is good enough. I mean, look at the yellow metal, gold, platinum. I mean, it's
totally
other. So I mean, it's not like being a store of value is a bad thing, right? If you are I mean, there's a chance it could pass gold as the largest store of value ex fiat currency.
Certainly, no doubt about it. I think that it went from a dual factor threat of day-to-day usage and storage of value to only being storage of value. And it coincides with, I mean, the whole reason of its launch was, hey, these governments around the world continue to inflate their currencies by printing money, et cetera. And it's only propelled faster.
Yeah.
Like even
that hasn't changed. That thesis hasn't changed.
A beautiful bill is going to add to debt, right? As much as the Republican Party says, "Hey, we're fiscal conservatives," et cetera, until they have to get votes the next time around, they realize that's not going to work. They'll just continue printing.
Pretty wild. So we've talked about this before, and I think you were okay with the idea of rich or wealthy putting 1 or 2%. You don't let me put words in your mouth, but I seem to recall.
Yeah. No, agreed. Yeah. I don't see it as a necessity like some folks do. Some folks see it as a necessity. I actually don't see Bitcoin as anything different than a leveraged version of stocks. So I know the narrative is there that it's this store of value, but was it a store of value in 2022 when it got cut by 70% during a period of inflationary pressures that we haven't seen in 50 years? So the narratives get more and more powerful as the price goes higher and higher, but it's going the price is going higher and higher in lockstep with stocks. So it was at 75 grand, right?
Yeah.
In April.
Yeah.
Right? So was that not a time when it was still a inflationary pressure? Like tariffs were the inflationary pressure of all at that point in the narrative of the market, and it sold off dramatically. So I kind of see it more as how it functions rather than the narrative behind it.
Well, the one thing again, as somebody who spent 12 years on Wall Street and more now when you add in you're running your brokerage, I'm curious when you just look at the conversation, like when you have clients, either prospective clients or actually clients that you are already managing money for, has the conversation, the word Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, been mentioned more or less in the last 6 months than 2 years ago?
No more. And that's honest, because you would think as the price kind of has hit an all-time high or darn near, it's hovering around it right now. You would think it would come up more frequently than it does. I think I don't think the story has changed all that dramatically. And I give people the full just description that I just gave you guys. I say to them, like, listen, nothing wrong with Bitcoin. When you look at the actual underlying, it is just a levered version of the NASDAQ. And so if the NASDAQ's up, expect it to be up 2x. If the NASDAQ's down, expect it to be down 2x. And I will say this, like earlier this year, it did have a period of about a month or two where it bucked the trend, it was dislocated meaningfully. But that correlation's come right back together. And that's what's happened throughout history. Like if you look at it on a day-to-day basis, the correlation, you're like, okay, this doesn't correlate. You back it out and look at it quarter by quarter or 6 month by 6 month, and you can see it very clearly.
Yeah. So what I guess I'm hearing for you is if you had a client come in, ask to get some exposure to it, a small exposure to it, you're good with that. As long as you understand.
And my thought there is, let's buy it next time we get a gap down in stocks, because it's going to gap down, but to a higher degree. Let's get in then and start to kind of dollar cost average from that point, if that's your thought process.
Right. And then again, so we'll go back to the headline grabbing, 10 to 40%. Even 10%, as somebody who has exposure to it, seems, I'm going to say excessive, but I don't want to put words in your mouth. Certainly 40% feels irresponsible. That's wild. I mean, think about somebody who's dealing with the financial analyst. It's got to be a 7-figure net worth, probably multiple 7 figures, and you're talking about having, 40% of your net worth on a cryptocurrency. That seems
well. Think about this. Also, if you run a RIA, and our RIA registered independent advisor, again, the one that I run, is more kind of akin to the social media demographic. So my age demographic of our clients is significantly younger. Typically, a registered independent advisor, their sweet spot is someone that retires. And so now you're telling someone in retirement to put up to 40% in Bitcoin. And then you realize that they're on a fixed income. And what happens if Bitcoin gets cut by 50%? And you don't have to look back very far to find it getting cut by 50%. That's, yeah. I guess if you have as much money as, as maybe some of his clients do that are just so high net worth and volatility doesn't scare them or buck them, then maybe. But yeah, I think that's a headline grab.
Yeah, I think so as well. But again, I don't think there's anything wrong with having a small exposure. I think if you're at this point where you have a net worth and you could have, again, I think it's always if you could afford to see it go to zero and not change your life, nothing wrong with grabbing a lottery ticket. I'm certainly glad I did in 18. Taylor, where can people find you?
Yeah, find us at Life Goal Investments. We're on Instagram and TikTok doing daily videos.
Awesome, buddy. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you.